How can we have space invaders if there's no space? There's only the abyss where the fallen live and traverse back and forth into our realm. So these UFO files which have been released can't be aliens. They can't be aliens. But the UFOs that they are highlighting, or the UFO that they're mainly highlighting from the files released yesterday, is an 8-pointed star. They keep saying that over and over. All the news outlets are saying 8-pointed star, 8-pointed star. They also say it looks like a biblical angel, an Ophanim. And I don't doubt it's biblical, and it may be an Ophanim, but it's not one of God's angels. Because the 8-pointed star is the star of Ishtar. It's the star of Ishtar. 100%. Ishtar, also known as the Queen of Heaven. The 8-pointed star of Ishtar was one of the most sacred religious symbols in Babylon. And this is it in infrared. And that's definitely the exact shape of the star of Ishtar, and they really want us to know that too. The thing appears black because cameras map invisible infrared light to a monochrome image. Brighter infrared reflections appear white, while objects that absorb or block infrared light appear black, creating a high contrast black and white scene. Materials that reflect infrared light appear white, while those that absorb it appear black. In thermal imaging, hot items usually appear white and cold items appear black. In essence, infrared cameras depict how well an object reflects or emits infrared light. They don't depict visible light. So this 8-pointed star of Ishtar could be a simulated image that they are showing us, or it could actually be the fallen angel Ishtar. For sure, they are using this so-called disclosure to draw attention to their gods. Otherwise, they wouldn't be calling attention to the fact that it's an 8-pointed star over and over. But they say it's an Ophanim, a biblical Ophanim. This is from a stone carving in ancient Babylon from 1200 BC, depicting the star of Ishtar, over here on the left. Slaves who worked in Ishtar's temples were sometimes branded with the seal of the 8-pointed star of Ishtar. The 8-pointed star of Ishtar was often depicted alongside the crescent moon, symbolic of the moon god, and the solar disk, the symbol of the sun god of ancient Mesopotamia, Shamash. Shamash is Ishtar's twin brother. The Greek equivalent of Shamash is Apollo, who became Apollyon when he was cast into the pit, into the abyss. Apollo's twin sister is Artemis, who is also synonymous with Ishtar. The pagans love Ishtar and her star. The 8-pointed star of Ishtar is a symbol of chaos magic in modern witchcraft. It also represents the melding of male and female, because Ishtar is a fallen angel, represented as a female, but all fallen angels are actually androgynous. So if it is really Ishtar, then one of my questions would be, how did the ancient Babylonians know that this 8-pointed star was Ishtar? How did they even see it in all its glory with this 8 points? They didn't have infrared technology back then. Maybe they had some other similar technology. Here's another way they depict Ishtar, their so-called Queen of Heaven. See, she has wings and she has these bird feet, which are very detailed. So this is a very demonic depiction. So what happened then? Did she come down as the star of Ishtar and then transform into this demonic being? It's definitely not one of God's angels. In Jeremiah 7, Jeremiah, serving as God's mouthpiece, calls out the hypocrisy of the people and warns of the dire consequences of their unfaithfulness. The verse reads, "The women knead their dough to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven and pour out drink offerings unto their gods, that they may provoke me to anger." Ishtar also had her own gate in Babylon, originally constructed in 570 BC, they say. So it was excavated in Babylon in the early 1900s, and the front piece was reconstructed and put in the Pergamon Museum in Berlin. Why? By the way, the Ishtar Gate has the same animals as the heraldry of King Dracula: the lion, the one-horned bull, or the unicorn, and the dragon. And the World History Encyclopedia site, which is a UK site, uses it as their banner. Why? So this star they are parading around the news could actually be the fallen angel referred to as Ishtar. I communicated back and forth with a guy who said that he saw an orb that turned into a fallen angel. And his account was just way too detailed. I believed him. And the same guy said he used to summon orbs and that he was told the elites summoned them and pay people to do that as well, to summon them. I covered that in my video titled Falling Angels. And the Harvard paper did say that some of these UFOs are crypto-terrestrials, such as earthbound angels living alongside us in distinct stealth. That was a direct quote from their paper, released in 2024. The other Harvard person they're parading around is Avi Loeb, former IDF, and a sorcerer scientist, apparently. He's founding director of Harvard's Black Hole Initiative, director of astrophysics at the Harvard Smithsonian Center, and the former chair of the astronomy department at Harvard. He's a former member of the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. He says these entities are superior to us. He also said, quote, "I'm excited to take part in the blind date of interstellar proportions because it offers me an opportunity to find a dating partner who is more intelligent than anyone on Earth." Who else is at the forefront of this Star of Ishtar reporting? Air quotes, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. She's definitely representing the moon goddess herself because Luna is not her given surname. She changed her surname to Luna, and they found her in a strip club. And what about her first name, Paulina? Ars Paulina is the third book of the grimoire of the Lesser Key of Solomon, which focuses on angels' names, seals, and the conjuration to call them forth. I'm going to play a part of a video I did during the UFO congressional hearings that covers some of the history of Anna Paulina Luna. But first, let's look at Luna. Anna Paulina Luna, referred to as just Luna in a lot of the media. Luna means moon. She's the one leading as chairwoman. She's a congresswoman from Florida, elected in 2022. So she's the character that is the good-looking female, like the ones you always have a good-looking female in the horror shows. Let's look at some of her body language first and her micro-expressions. It's the first thing I noticed. She's very pretty. Aside from having super black eyes, at least in this photo. She modeled in the past, and she was a cocktail waitress in a strip club, according to Wikipedia. So she's trained in how to be charming, and that type of charm is very obvious being used by her during this hearing. And I'll just show a few examples of that now.
I am pleased to welcome the panel of witnesses for today's hearing. 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hand. I now recognize Chief Wiggins for his opening statement. So that's just kind of an update, but as a task force, because we are not a full subcommittee and there are certain authorities that haven't been granted to us, probably because they don't want us to have it.
So there's some weird stuff about Luna on Wikipedia. It says she was raised in California, served in the Air Force and the National Guard. She appeared in 2013 online issue of Sports Illustrated and as a swimsuit model in Maxim magazine in 2014. During this time, she also worked as a cocktail waitress in a strip club, then gained a following as an Instagram influencer. It says her father was an elementary school teacher who was also a drug addict. And her mother was a stay-at-home mother, but she wasn't married to the father and she didn't live with him and was on welfare. There are a lot of inconsistencies between what Luna says about her background and what her family and former friends say. She said her father raised her to follow Messianic Judaism and that she is a small fraction Ashkenazi, but she also said, well, so her members of her extended family said that her father was Catholic and didn't practice any form of Judaism when Luna was growing up. But she also complained that she wasn't raised with much help from her family, so that doesn't even jive. You know, her statements are not correlated. And her family and extended family disputed that. She said she experienced a home invasion while she was at home, while stationed at Whiteman Air Force Base, but her roommate said she didn't remember it that way, and that it was a daytime break-in while neither of them were at home. It says that her maternal grandmother was a long-time heroin user and HIV positive, but regardless of that, it says in 2020, Anna chose that grandmother's maiden name, Luna, as her surname. So she changed her name to Luna, which means moon. All right, so that Star of Ishtar is also on the floor of St. Peter's Basilica. See it right here? Kind of in the middle at the top, you can see it, 8-pointed star. So it's right in front of the Holy Door that Pope Francis opened on December 24th of 2024, inaugurating the 2025 Jubilee of Hope. And in the Golden Bough, a 1,600-page book about witchcraft, authored by Sir James Fraser, Knight of the Crown. At the conclusion of that book, he implies that the Temple of Diana was moved to St. Peter's Basilica from Lake Nemi in Rome, and Diana is the Roman equivalent of the Greek Queen of Heaven Artemis, whose Babylonian equivalent is Ishtar. Thanks for listening.